Sagittarius, welcome to your astrology reading for the month of April. So before I get started, this is going to be most applicable for your rising sign. So if you're not sure what your rising sign is, it's also your ascendant. You can pull, there's a lot of websites that offer free charts. You can just put in your birthplace, your time, your date, and you'll be able to see what that is. So your rising sign is how other people perceive you, but this is also important for your sun sign because that is how you express yourself. And so really you can kind of see how those two go together, where it's this outward expression of yourself, it's how other people perceive you. And then of course there's your emotional lens. This is your moon sign here. And so that's, again, your emotions. So how you process everything through that lens. So kind of jumping into the astrology here. So during the month of April, we have a lot of Aries energy, and then we start moving into some Taurus energy. And so for you, the impact is in your 5th and your 6th houses. Your 5th house is really, it's all about creativity. So your passions, hobbies, short-term romances are also housed here, as well as children. So think of those things that you enjoy doing outside of a work environment. And then your 6th house is your daily routines. And so daily routines is not just Monday through Friday, this is what I do. It is about the way that you take care of yourself. So this would be your eating habits, health and fitness regimen, as well as any kind of work schedule or whatever it is that you do on a regular basis. That's what's incorporated in that 6th house energy. And so kind of jumping into it here, we have Mercury stationing retrograde. It happens on April Fools. And so that's going to happen at 6:14 in the evening Eastern time. So what does this mean for you? Well, first, we're already in the shadow period. So the shadow period actually started March 18th. Then it goes retrograde from the 1st to the 25th, and then we'll be in a post shadow. So it's kind of this building energy until we hit the retrograde, and then it'll start to decline once we exit and once Mercury stations direct. And so for you, Mercury, it's in the sign of Aries. And so this is going to impact your 5th house. Mercury, when it stations retrograde in the sign of Aries, is not alone here. So it's also with Chiron and the sun, and then we'll talk about the North Node when we get to the eclipse. But right away, Mercury will be square Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. And so Pluto in Aquarius for you impacts your 3rd house. So that is the house of communication. And so when you think about Mercury, Mercury is communication. It is about how you process information, how you speak, what it is that you're trying to convey to other people. And so with this Pluto in Aquarius energy occupying pretty much the same energy as Mercury, in this challenging aspect, you're going to have trouble speaking exactly what it is that you're thinking. Mercury in Aries, you're going to want to take action. You're going to want to be able to be direct and straightforward. But with Mercury retrograde, a lot of that is now going to be reflected inward. That's what the retrograde planets do. They kind of direct that energy into yourself. And so rather than trying to speak your mind outwardly, this indicates a lot of inward reflection around that 5th house energy. So again, like your hobbies, your passion projects, maybe children, short-term romances, all of those things. We'll also have Mercury conjunct Chiron in Aries. And so Chiron is the wounded healer. So when you think about anything, really, these are the wounds that are going to come to the surface that are meant to be addressed. And so Chiron is in everybody's chart. Right now, Chiron is transiting Aries. And so with Mercury and Chiron, both in the sign of Aries, this is a lot about, because Mercury's retrograde, this is a lot about internal processing of those wounds coming to the surface. And so what that means for you is that they're related to this 5th house energy. And so when you think about creative projects, your passions, your hobbies, if we look at it through that lens, is there something that's been holding you back? Like maybe you don't feel like you're good enough to be an artist, or that you can pursue exactly what you want from a passion standpoint, because maybe you don't feel like, I don't know, it could be wounds to maybe feeling like you're not good enough, or being judged in some way, or that people are going to tell you that's not practical if that's something that you really wanted to pursue here. This could also be related to short-term relationships. And so short-term relationships coming up as a wound could indicate some sort of insecurity around letting somebody get too close to you, about this feeling of like, I can't be vulnerable, I can't be open with another person. When it comes to children, this could be something around just maybe you have children and it's the relationship you have with your children. Maybe you're trying to do it differently than what your parents did with you. That would be a wound coming to the surface. Or it could even be that you can have children, or that you're afraid of having children. All of these are wounds that are coming to the surface, really being highlighted here, but highlighted here in a way that has you really reflecting inward and really thinking about it, because Mercury is definitely cerebral. And then on the 5th, we'll have Venus enter the sign of Aries. So that's going to happen at midnight. And so when it happens, we'll have Mercury, Chiron, Sun, and Venus all in the sign of Aries. And so what this means right away is I can see a conjunction between Venus and Neptune. But Neptune's in the sign of Pisces. And so what this means for you, Neptune in Pisces is sitting in your 4th house of home. And so Neptune is all about your dreams. What is it that you want? What is your ideal home life? What does that look like? And with Venus now in the sign of Aries conjunct this kind of what is my ideal home life, Venus is what you value, what you want. It is balance and harmony and relationships here. And so when it comes to what you want, that's sitting in your 5th house. So again, creative projects, maybe children, maybe short-term relationships, and the home life that you want. And this is a conjunction of how do I have the home life that I want? What do I want to do related to that 5th house energy? What actions do I want to take? Because this is in the sign of Aries. Aries is all about action, even though Venus doesn't feel that great in this sign. It is about figuring out how do you have the home life that you're looking for, and how do you incorporate your passions or maybe children into that mix. Venus will also be sextile Pluto in Aquarius. And so Pluto in Aquarius, again, it's about breaking down barriers. There's something here that needs to change. There's something here that is changing that does feel very uncomfortable with that Pluto in Aquarius, because that Aquarius is a very liberating type of energy. And Pluto is all about death and rebirth. It is a transformation. It's indicating that the old ways of doing things just aren't applicable anymore. They're not going to work the way that you want them to. And so again, that's sitting in your house of communication. It is short distance travel, possibly even siblings. If we're talking about a lot of maybe old family wounds that are coming to the surface related to children, that could be something connected to your relationship with your siblings. So Venus in Aries is sextile. So this is creating some sort of opportunity for you to kind of really embrace those changes that need to happen when it comes to the actions you want to take. So is this about maybe having some sort of maybe conversation with your siblings around this? Could it be maybe not even having an actual conversation, but this could be actions that just kind of heal you from whatever is happening here. Again, could be communication, could be miscommunication, something related to maybe short distances. Maybe you've always felt like you couldn't go back to your hometown, and now this is saying, well, why couldn't you go back to your hometown? The actions that you want to take when it relates to your passion projects, your children, does indicate that there's some sort of barrier that you're trying to break down in order for you to really go after what you want here. And then we'll have the solar eclipse. So that's going to happen on the 8th at 2:21 in the afternoon. Actually, I'm going to correct myself. So the eclipse itself is going to happen at 2:17 in the afternoon. The new moon in Aries is going to happen 4 minutes later. That's at 2:21 in the afternoon. And so this is a lot of energy. So this is a solar eclipse. This is a big deal. This is where the sun and the moon are at the same degree point in the sky. So it's a very blending of energies, just like with any new moon. Here, more amplified because this is an eclipse. We are in Aries Libra eclipse season. And so these are fated events coming to the surface. But it's not just that the sun and the moon are here. So sun highlighting moon emotions. And so what else is here? Chiron. They're all at the same degree point in the sky at the time of the solar eclipse. They're all at 19 degrees. And so with that 19 degrees, with all three energies being blended, those wounds are coming to the surface. Those wounds are, I don't know if you've seen them up until now. You might have been aware of them, but this is really putting them front and center. This is really going to make that awareness known to you. You're going to see it. You're going to feel it. You're going to understand it, because we also have here at the time of this conjunction, this sun, the moon, and Chiron all at 19 degrees, we'll also have the moon conjunct Mercury retrograde in the sign of Aries. So all of this is happening in the sign of Aries. With Mercury being retrograde, this is that internal processing. So not only is this wound coming to the surface, but now you're starting to understand maybe why you respond to situations the way you do, or what triggers you, what wounds are coming to the surface, or maybe it's about the way that you've built your life. So think about your home environment here. Did you set it up in such a way that you were kind of skirting around these wounds and not really addressing these wounds? Is there something here, again, because there has been a lot of energy connected to what it is that you want with that fifth house energy, Fourth house energy has been showing up. And now again, this is really highlighting that fifth house, but think of it holistically, because we've already talked about maybe short distance, siblings, home life. And so what wounds are coming to the surface? What is it that you need to heal when it comes to these wounds? How do you need to feel about these? Because with this moon conjunct Mercury, moon is about feeling, but Mercury is now thinking, but it's inward processing of your emotions, understanding just the depths of maybe what this wound is and what it has triggered for you. We'll also have Mercury square Pluto at the time of this eclipse. And so the square Pluto energy, again, we're talking about your third house. So siblings, short distance travel, possibly communication. There's something about this energy that maybe you've felt ashamed, or you felt in some way that you couldn't really express what this wound was, or really communicate it in a way that was authentic to you, because that's also kind of fifth house energy. You're trying to get back to being authentically you and what it is that you want here, because that is your passions. And so really kind of focusing on, maybe there's been some difficult communication that has happened in the past that made you kind of close off and kind of suppress this a little bit. This is just really indicating your full understanding. So this eclipse is really bringing this to light for you. And then on the 19th, we'll have the sun enter Taurus. And so when that happens, we'll have the sun, Jupiter, and Uranus all in the sign of Taurus. And what we'll see is the sun is conjunct Chiron in Aries. So the sun in Taurus, so let's talk about that. So this is all about really how you express yourself and what you value, because Taurus is what you value. It's ruled by Venus. So think about relationships and just balance that you want in your life, any kind of harmony, again, what you value. Conjunct Chiron in Aries. And so again, Chiron in Aries is this wound. And so what is it? Because this is a blending of the energies. So how do you address this wound in a way that helps you? Because that's really what this energy is all about. It's finding that way to really bring, I want to say, some sort of healing into balance, but it's really about bringing yourself into some sort of balance here. And when this happens, when the sun conjuncts Chiron in Aries, so this is a combination of your sixth house energy and your fifth house. And so this is about sun, sixth house, your daily life. Again, how did you structure your life? What did you do with your home environment? What have you done with your daily life? Did you structure in such a way that doesn't allow you to address your wounds? Or did you kind of go around and say, well, I'm going to create this life for myself, and in doing so, I am fine not addressing these wounds, or I'm avoiding triggers in this kind of atmosphere. And so the idea here is to really kind of understand and really ground what it is. How do you express yourself in such a way that kind of helps you move through and deal with these wounds that are coming to the surface? Because we will also have the sun square Pluto in Aquarius. And again, squares, this is a difficult aspect. This does create challenges and obstacles. Not that they can't be overcome, because they absolutely can be overcome. It's just something that you're going to have to work through. It does require you to take action and work through it. And so when it comes to the changes that you need to make, whether it's short distance travel, communication, something with siblings here, there is this, okay, well, in order for me to have the daily life that I want, so if I'm thinking through the wounds coming up related to maybe creativity, children, passions, all of those things, and I need to make some adjustments here, or I need to do something with my daily life, what needs to change here? Is there some sort of communication that needs to change? Do you need to actually move to a different location, short distance? So think of it like by car, because that's all coming to the surface right now. And then on the 20th at 10:27 p.m. Eastern time, we'll have Jupiter conjunct Uranus. And so this is a lot of kind of repeating energy. So Jupiter is all about expansion and growth. Actually, Taurus is about that as well. And so this is in the sign of Taurus. And then you've got Uranus, which is all about sudden change. And so these two are sitting in the sign of Taurus. So when it comes to really grounding yourself and really understanding what it is that you need, what it is that you want, expressing yourself in such a way that feels very grounded and down to earth, and okay, I can do this. This is about, okay, in order for me to grow, this needs to change. That's what this energy is all about here. And so again, this is all sitting in your sixth house. That is your daily routines. So what changes need to happen in your daily routines in order for you to be able to heal from whatever wounds are coming to the surface? And then on the 23rd, we'll have the full moon in Scorpio. So that's going to happen at 7:49 p.m. Eastern time. And so when that happens, we have the moon and the sun. They're at opposing points in the sky. And so moon in Scorpio, with the moon in Scorpio, so this is a lot about your emotions, but Scorpio is transformation. So this full moon does in the sign of Scorpio. So this is definitely connected to transformation with the sun in Taurus. And this is about that grounded self-expression. And so there is this kind of push-pull that's happening here. And so for you, the push-pull is happening between your internal self. So that's that 12th house energy. Could even be endings, definitely things hidden, secrets, all of those things. That's in the sign of Scorpio. So you need to change something internally about yourself as it relates to your daily routines, because that 6th house energy, that Taurus energy about this is my daily life, this is what I need in order to feel grounded and stable and happy and harmonized just in all ways. What needs to change here? How do you need to maybe view yourself differently? Really kind of process those emotions, or even just change the way that you respond to your daily life, because that's what's coming up here for you. Is there's some sort of emotional response that needs to change as it relates to your daily life. We'll also have the moon in the sign of Scorpio square Pluto in Aquarius. So again, another challenging aspect. Pluto in Aquarius is really just bringing to light all of these different ways that we need to work on ourselves. And so again, Pluto in Aquarius for you, that is sitting in your 3rd house. And so what we're looking at, again, in this whole context of the full moon in Scorpio and this push-pull between the emotional changes you need to make internally and your daily life, with this Pluto in Aquarius energy, it's about that emotional transformation and understanding what barriers exist in order for you to have that home life or that daily life that you're looking for. Then we have Mercury stationing direct. So that's going to be in the sign of Aries on the 25th at 8:54 in the morning Eastern time. And so again, we're still going to be in the post shadow until May 13th. So the energy, thankfully, will be dissipating as we get closer and closer to that 13th date. And so when Mercury was retrograde and we had all of that kind of internal processing of information, now this is about the external. So this is about openly communicating, speaking your mind, that type of energy. And so speaking your mind can be in any kind of medium. It's really just about getting your thoughts out there. And so Mercury will be conjunct Venus in the sign of Aries. And so where all these wounds are coming to the surface, because Chiron is still in the sign of Aries, and with Venus in Aries, this is about that 5th house energy. This is all sitting in that 5th house. You're understanding what wounds have come to the surface. Venus in Aries, how do you ground those? How do you kind of make peace with that energy? And then with Mercury, is there some sort of communication that you need to have? We saw earlier that you had some blocks probably connected to communication. And so now this is giving you that opportunity to really speak what it is that you've been going through or processing more than anything else. And then we'll have Venus enter Taurus. So that's going to happen on the 29th at 7:32 in the morning Eastern time. And so when this happens, we'll have Venus, Sun, Uranus, and Jupiter all in the sign of Taurus. And so what you're seeing here is just this shift into all this Taurus energy, very grounded, very stable energy here. Venus is the ruler of Taurus, so it likes to be in its home sign here. And so we'll have Venus conjunct the Sun. This is all sitting in your daily life. And so this is about, okay, understanding all the harmony that you're trying to bring into your daily life. What is it that you want to do here? Really thinking through, what do you need in order to feel like yourself, like your authentic self? What happens here? How do you make that happen? Because we'll also have Venus conjunct Chiron in Aries. And so again, we're looking at your daily life as it relates to these wounds. And so as you're trying to figure out what kind of daily life is your ideal, what is it that you want here? What changes do you need to make here? This is all connected to this wounds. So again, wounds can be related to passion projects, children, short-term relationships. And so how you set your daily life up in such a way that you don't allow yourself to have a long-term relationship because maybe you travel too much for work, or maybe you make work the priority and not a relationship here. And so this is about understanding not just why you've set yourself up this way, but what changes do you need to make in order to heal from this wound? And some of the changes might be small and some of them might be big, but this is connected to your daily life here. And then we'll also have Venus and the Sun square Pluto in Aquarius. And so again, Pluto in Aquarius, With the square, this is a challenge that you can work through. This is about your communication, short distance travel, possibly siblings again. And so when you think about what is your goal daily routine? What is it that you really want to do here? How do you balance your daily life? And how does that help you with not just your wounds, but what else do you need to do? What other barriers exist that need to come down in order for you to really put all these pieces together? Because it is about, this month is a lot about transition. It's a lot about, a lot of understanding is coming to light here. There's a lot of, it almost feels liberating in a way, because it feels like a lot of Aquarius energy, even though there isn't a lot of Aquarius energy, but this is really giving you this opportunity to make some changes to your life that make you feel better about yourself. And then on the 30th, we'll have Mars enter Aries. And so that's going to happen at 11:33 in the morning Eastern time. And so when this happens, we'll have Chiron, Mercury, and Mars all in the sign of Aries, with Mars actually being the ruler of Aries. So think about that energy kind of amplified. Mars is the god of war, so this can be very direct, very blunt type of energy. We'll have Mars conjunct Neptune. Neptune is about your dreams, your goals. And so when you think about the actions that you want to take, being very direct, this is going after your dreams. And so for you, again, Aries energy, this is sitting in your 5th house, so creative projects, children, hobbies, short-term relationships, and your 4th house of home. So what does your dream home look like? How does that relate to that 5th house energy? What actions do you need to take in order to have that dream home life? We'll also have Mars sextile Moon. And so the moon's going to be in the sign of Aquarius. And so that's that 3rd house energy. That could be short distance travel again. And so maybe part of this is you're being given an opportunity to make some changes, maybe to your communication, maybe to your physical location in order to have the home life that you want. Maybe you do want to move. Maybe you want to move closer to family, or maybe you want to move closer to family and also mend some relationships here when it comes to just maybe siblings, or because there are wounds coming to the surface that have impacted you, have almost like creatively blocked you in a way, but could also be related to children. So there is that piece of it here. And so not only is Mars sextile the moon in Aquarius, it's sextile Pluto in Aquarius. And again, so with the moon and Pluto both being in the sign of Aquarius in a square with Mars, the actions, so I'm sorry, did I say square? They're sextile. So you have an opportunity here. So really make those changes that you want to make. And with the moon energy, this is that emotional. So what emotional changes need to happen here in your 3rd house? What is it that you need to heal? Is it connected to another person? Is it connected to a location? That could be the case. Maybe you've avoided locations for a specific reason, and now you're being given this opportunity to really remove that obstacle or barrier and have the life that you want for yourself. Be able to create that daily routine that you want, have that home life that you want for yourself, and really heal from whatever that 5th house wound coming to the surface is all about. We'll also have Mars sextile Jupiter in Aquarius. And so again, it's about that 5th house, 6th house. So again, all of these things, everything that you want to change here, you're also being given an opportunity to really go after the type of home life and daily life that you want. So Sagittarius, this is your reading. I hope it resonates. If it did, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.